folks, this is Dr. Pecoits-Filho, nephrologist from Bangalore, now in Bangkok, covering the International Society of Nephrology's World Congress in Nephrology, and we're having a good time here. Some great talks that I've already attended, and I have with me Roberto Pecoits-Filho, and he is based in Ann Arbor in Michigan.
That's right.
How are you, Roberto, and how is Bangkok treating you?
I'm just a tropical bird in Michigan, you know. I'm Brazilian by nature.
Excellent.
Born and raised, and things are going very well, Arvind. Very well.
Excellent. Roberto is also the chair of the International Society of Nephrology's Education Working Group, and he's worked with various organizations. He's worked with KDIGO. And what did your work in KDIGO entail? What exactly did you do there?
Worked quite a lot with KDIGO. I think it's a very interesting organization, isn't it? Like really specialized on putting together evidence to provide guidelines. I really enjoyed that, and since my early career, I've been involved in different activities. I was in their executive committee. But I think one of the most interesting experiences I had was to co-chair the controversies meeting on hyperkalemia, which is a big topic nowadays. And
I thought we knew everything about hyperkalemia.
Isn't it funny?
Something else?
Yeah. Well, you know, this is something that we learned during that meeting, Arvind, that a lot of these things about hydroelectrolyte disorders, we think we know everything, but you know, the evidence that you have behind simple things like, you know, what is hyperkalemia anyway? What is the threshold? When we looked at the literature and tried to find the evidence to support some very simple concepts, we were surprised that we don't know a lot about it, you know. And I think that's one of the problems that we have moving the field, you know. Things like, you know, fear of hyperkalemia and some of the consequences like discontinuation of life-saving therapies is something that you see very frequently in the real world practice. So I really like the idea of exploring more, you know, the evidence generation in simple concepts like electrolyte disorders, for instance.
Right. And you now are working with the DOPS. What exactly does that entail?
Right. Yeah. So I took over as a scientific director for the DOPS, which is an honor to be, part of that story. You know, DOPS celebrated 25 years a couple years ago. So a quarter of century of capturing practice patterns, initially in hemodialysis, then we started a peritoneal dialysis study in many countries, and also non-dialysis CKD. So we captured more than 70,000 patients over the last 25 years, and we really are interested in seeing what are the practices that are associated with best outcomes. I think we learned a lot with that, but I think there's still a lot to do, which is good. Keep us busy, right?
Absolutely. And you've been with the International Society of Nephrology for so long. How is this organization? What exactly do you have to say about it?
You know how I started with the ISN? I was actually in the first Young Nephrologist Committee,
right,
as a member, and then I became the chair of that committee, the second chair. So Fiona Brown was the first one, I was the second one. So I experienced retirement from that committee very early in my career. And since then, that's more than 10 years ago, I've been constantly doing something with the ISN. I'm really identified with the values, with the ideas of the ISN, and I just continue doing that. Talking about retirement, I am retiring from the Education Working Group in this meeting in Bangkok, and my next job with the ISN is going to be to be the deputy chair of the INET CKD, which is a interesting project more on the research part of things that puts together many CKD cohorts around the world and try to organize them into like a consortium of CKD cohorts.
Right. Excellent. Roberto, pleasure talking to you as always.
Pleasure, Arvind.
Thank you.